3, 2, 1.
Question.
I was going to talk about Blazing Saddles, and now it's too late.
Did
I already talked about that one.
Did we remember to clap last time?
We did not. I had to just figure it out in post. It was very, very hard.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh, God. I'm
My
so
fault,
sorry.
too. So, like, oh, no.
Oh, heavens.
The podcast just kind of falls apart without Noah. Which also we need to be sure.
Guess who didn't shit himself to death?
You've risen from the shit grave.
Rumors of my shitting have
rising
been
from the
greatly
sewer.
exaggerated. Yeah, like a shit phoenix.
You're like
Oh.
you're like that social media influencer where they were pronounced dead or something, or they posted on their social medias pretending that they were dead.
Yeah.
And everybody was freaking out, and then it was like, oh, it wasn't real.
Yeah, that's Noah.
That's me.
This happened
That's
very
me.
recently, but I don't remember the person's name. I think like Little Tay or something.
Oh, Little Tay, it was a
not
big deal because, no, she
that
was
means
like
that's not
14.
the person I was thinking of who did
And
a
her
similar
parents-
thing. Oh my god.
Little Tay was a big deal because she's a child. And her parents posted both she and her brother had died. Someone posted that she and her brother had died suddenly. And then they couldn't get a clear answer out of the actual family. Currently, we assume that she's actually alive and that this was a lie or a publicity stunt. I haven't seen proof one way or another, so she might actually be dead as far as
I
know.
saw an article saying that she was alive, but
Good.
I don't know.
Because that would have been a rough one.
Yeah.
Because she's definitely a child who's being exploited.
Yikes.
Jeff, who did you think faked their death?
A couple of months ago, Becca was telling me about this author who, like, a year and a half ago or something, like, posted on all her social media saying that, like, she was her sister running the account and that she had died somehow.
Oh my god.
Blah, blah, blah. And then, like, her Facebook group got converted into, like, a memorial Facebook group, because a lot of authors have Facebook groups, I guess.
Right.
And then suddenly, a few months ago, her account started posting in the Facebook group again, and she had this whole, like, I'm actually alive reveal. And her story was about, like, she was saying that she had, like, pretended to die to escape some manner of bullying or internet-based oppression that she was facing, which was mostly just people telling her that her books weren't good, I think. I don't recall all the details.
You know,
That's
call
wild.
me crazy.
Yeah.
That's called setting yourself up for more internet oppression or bullying or whatever,
She,
and
for
not
some
just
reason,
telling you your books aren't good.
Yeah, right. For some reason, she thought that the whole "I'm alive, here's a new book" thing would, like, be enough to get people excited. Enough that they wouldn't think about the fact that she just lied about being fucking dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You know?
You know-
Speaking of the living dead.
Wait.
Oh.
You know, if you're looking for actual good books to read, our friend over here, Nina Wolverina,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
had their second book drop August 1st, and it's a great
Yeah.
read.
Books.
It's called, oh gosh, The Forgotten Lyric. I got it.
Good job, Emma.
Forgotten Lyric.
That's better
It's
than-
sold wherever books are sold on Amazon.com.
So true.
That's better than the podcast I just guested on.
Yeah.
Who I will shit talk publicly because this is actually really funny. And if you listen to the podcast, you would hear this.
Okay.
One of the hosts completely did not remember the name of Lyric. And like he had just finished reading it an hour before we recorded.
Oh, no.
And I don't even remember what he tried to call it. But if you listen to the beginning of the episode, he like says two different names that are not the name of the book.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's so bad. That's so
Yeah,
bad.
it's really bad. But yeah.
But speaking of the living dead,
Oh, speaking of the living dead. I got some ghouls to gab since I've been away.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you probably
I've
saw
seen,
a ghoul or two down in the sewer.
Yes, very, very, you know, it's funny you mentioned that because one of these movies had sewer ghouls.
Oh,
It did
yeah?
have sewer ghouls. I forgot about that.
Nina and I have been very slowly watching our way through a little series everyone here might be familiar with, Resident Evil.
Yeah.
You may remember us talking about the first/second one.
Yeah, I remember something
We've now
about
seen Resident Evil. Oh God, let me
Extinction and
aka
Afterlife.
Resident Evil Mad Max,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
Resident Evil Afterlife, aka the fourth one.
Oh, I forgot. So in the fourth one, there's an opening scene where they're in Tokyo, and it's like after the extinction event, and there's a guy with like aiming down at a crosswalk with a sniper, and then he gets like picked off the roof.
Oh,
We never come back to that.
by a flying zombie.
We never get flying
Never comes
zombies
back.
again for the rest of the
Flying
movie.
Zombie?
We get digging
fly now.
zombies.
That's what I said when we watched it.
Yeah, Needler's like, they fly now, and it's
And then they don't fly in the rest of the movie. I
Yeah,
had
not at all.
forgotten that until just now.
yeah. I also had forgotten that, so I got nothing good to say about Resident Evil Mad Max.
Well, they squandered
because-
the flying zombies idea, so...
No, that was the third one. The third
Oh.
one had no flying zombies. That was the Mad Max
that's
one.
the one with the pothead bus driver named Otto. The clearest Simpsons reference I've ever seen in my life,
Very
yeah,
funny.
that's...
which is like heinously bad.
And the most 2000s fucking shit ever. They have a character who's like, first of all, these movies are like the 2000s encapsulated. Secondly, this character's like, I don't use my real name anymore. Call me Kmart. That's where they found me. And they
What?
refer to her as Kmart for the rest of
Kmart.
Kmart. First of all, she's trans because that's incredibly non-binary coded.
100%.
Secondly,
This
what
is
the
Nina letting
fuck?
you all know that their new name is Kmart,
no, I would choose something cooler.
because just like Kmart, Nina is an empty husk of a building.
Right.
Oh wow, called out.
Anyway, though, Resident Evil Afterlife was way more fun.
It was.
Because the MacGuffin at the end of Resident Evil 3, all right, spoilers for a 15-year-old movie, is that the director's wife, who is the self-insert character of all the movies,
Right.
because he loves his wife so much, ultimate wife guy, turns out she's got clones, and the movie opens with all of her clones attacking an Umbrella Corp like
In Tokyo.
facility, and then they all get blown up, every one of them.
Yeah, they
So
just
we
were like, forget that.
and we also take away her magic powers from the last two movies immediately.
Yeah, we
Wow.
reset the status quo real hard, and then the bad guy is the Terminator Agent Smith from The Matrix.
Yeah. We open this movie, it is so clear that the director loves The Matrix, and he put in Ginger Agent Smith for fun,
Oh.
and his
Yeah.
eyes glow like the Terminator.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's Resident Evil's 3 and 4.
yeah. Could not possibly recommend 3 less.
Or 4 for that matter.
4
Just
was-
don't watch these movies.
4 was fine. But your standards get dropped real hard when you watch shit like this.
Are there more or...
I think there's
Yes.
7.
7? Jesus.
There's 6 or 7 of them. Because I have the complete collection and it's only 5.
I can't wait
Yeah.
until
And
the
they
two
aren't
of
the
you...
last ones I'm aware of.
I can't wait until the two of you have watched all the way through all the shitty 2000s series.
We're getting
We're
close.
doing our best.
You've
We're-
got to be
we're
like
doing-
halfway
We're not
there
gonna
at
do.
this point, right?
We are not going to do Underworld because we don't like Underworld.
No?
Sorry, Underworld fans. I know there's at least one of you in here. Hi, Mia. You're probably the Underworld fan.
Wow, way to call
Wasn't
her
that...
out.
Wait, didn't that have Michael Sheen in it? Or
It
was that-
does.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then
He's
they
the
kill
only
him.
good character.
And
I
so they kill him
loved-
off, right? And then they make the rest of the movies go in reverse order because they realize they killed off their best character. So all the rest of the movies, except for maybe one of them, are all prequels talking about his rise.
Saw.
I don't
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember the movies very well, but I remembered really liking the first one back in the day.
It was fine.
If we hadn't watched it with Blade, I think we would have liked it more.
Yeah.
Right, because it is just like
Mm.
Walmart Blade, right?
So I think all we have left is really Underworld
Yeah, kinda.
and the Hellboy movies.
Oh, we do need to rewatch Hellboy.
Oh, that'll be fun.
We've
I
never
almost
watched
watched
Hellboy as a couple,
earlier this
so-
week, actually.
I watched half of the first Hellboy last time I had COVID.
Wow.
Seems like the
Anyway.
time.
You know what else I watched when I had COVID?
Oh my
The
God.
movie we're going to talk about this week. We'll get to that in a
Whoa.
minute.
Oh my gosh.
In the
Is any-
meantime,
Yeah.
Jeff, I hear you have a gab
I've got
to
a
ghoul.
pair of ghouls to gab here. This week,
Pair of them.
I watched Hellfest, which Noah has been recommending for a long time, and I fucking loved
like
it. It is
Hellfest.
incredibly fun.
It's just a really good time.
Yeah.
It's a perfect Halloween movie.
It is a 100% perfect Halloween movie. Like most movies, there's like some reason for it not to be a good Halloween movie, you know? But like this one,
Mhm.
none. It's Halloween.
Yeah, it's not too dialogue heavy. You don't have to pay attention too much. It's a good Halloween time.
Yeah, just solid shit. Loved it. Love Tony Todd as well for how briefly he's in it.
Tony Todd's just great.
I have never been disappointed by him. All right, but what I'm going to talk more about is the other thing that I watched this week that I've studiously not been telling Noah that I watched this week. It's The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh!
This movie is so we have mentioned on this podcast at some point sort of recently. This is the movie that is held up by the Dead and Lovely podcast as like the 5est 5, the perfect mid, right? And
Yeah.
Noah has been saying that he thinks that is an unfair treatment to give this movie. He thinks that it is better than that. It's not the middest mid. I would like to know what you were smoking when you watched it and where can I get some? Because this is a movie that is like in just such a spot that I think it would be better if it was worse. It would be better if it was better, but if it was worse in a real particular way, like I think if before filming this movie, if they had taken a copy of the script and given it to Rob Zombie and let him like take notes in the margins while he read through it and then just did whatever he wrote, that might have improved it drastically. It feels like it was supposed to be longer and then got chopped down for like budget reasons or like time reasons or something. Because it's not like it's got a shortage of attempted depth, but I don't think anything that it does is done especially well. And the editing is really weird in a couple of spots.
I rated this movie a 9.
You gave this movie
Nine
a 9.
star Noah.
This is a 9-star
9?
Noah moment. We've got to cover this movie on the podcast at some point because I need you
Do
to
we
watch
though?
it again.
It's okay. I would
I
like
wouldn't
to
mind covering it. I
as
think
a
it's got stuff that's worth
clarifier
talking
slash-
about.
clarifier / defense for myself,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
I am so afraid of morgues and dead bodies covered in like a sheet concept. Star Trek scared the shit out of me
I remember that
in
episode,
their
yeah.
one episode that had dead bodies covered in sheets. Like that type of shit gets me.
Understandable.
And that definitely helped with this movie, but I also just kind of thought in general that the movie was fun and good.
It's got a great atmosphere is the thing.
Noah out here being like, you know those ghosts that just have sheets over them and like the
Terrifying.
eyes poked out? That's the scariest thing.
You know,
That's
they
peak
go
scare.
"Woo."
Peak
They sit
scare.
up, they move
Nobody's ever
around.
doing it like that.
Halloween, I walk outside and I about have a heart attack. There's like a billion of those bitches out there.
Be
Yeah.
making your bed and there's a solid couple of seconds where you're like, oh no.
Fucking iconic.
Man.
I haven't watched any movies because my life has been consumed by Baldur's Gate 3.
Right.
That's so valid.
It's such a good game.
Okay, so
That's
who's
all that I
who's
have
your
heard about.
romance?
Okay, so I've finished my first playthrough.
Oh, how long did that take you?
Okay, so the game came out the 3rd. So August 3rd it came out. I finished my playthrough, I think maybe on the 8th or the 9th.
That's fast.
I would no, we're not gonna play a guessing game. My first playthrough clocked in at 81 and a half hours. But
Emma, that's more than full-time job commitment. I respect the
Holy
shit out of
shit.
that.
Wow. So how
but
far in are you on your
That
second
is-
playthrough now?
I wish you guys could see their face right now. So it's like Emma's realizing what they've done.
no, so there's some every once in a while I'm like, do I have ADHD or autism or something? Because like it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while I'll just hyperfixate on something and
Mhm.
I cannot do anything else until like I'm done with that thing. And that definitely happened with this game. And so 81 and a half hours, but that's not including times I died or had to reset, or there were a few times, especially early on, where I got a bug and I had to close the game and I lost like an hour plus of progress because
No, that
Of-
sucks.
yeah, because I hadn't saved. So realistically, it's probably more in the 85 to 90 hour range of my first playthrough. And my second playthrough, I'm close to like 20 hours on.
Okay.
So yeah,
It's pretty wild.
that has been my life. I romanced Shadowheart in my first playthrough.
I hear
Okay.
good things about Shadowheart.
And my second playthrough, I kind of have a thing going with Lae'zel, who's the Githyanki like warrior.
Mhm.
But I'm mainly doing that until I get another companion in my party, because I'm doing like an evil playthrough, and there's this evil drow lady.
Ooh.
And we already banged once, but then she leaves and she's like, I'll meet up with you at this area later on. And so once I meet up with her again, that's who I'm gonna romance.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And that's my story.
Cool.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, but I did. We did take breaks, and I had Piper watch Over the Garden Wall for the first time, and we watched it
Oh,
together.
did they like it?
Yay.
They really liked it. Yeah,
Because it's perfect.
it's so good. And now I can just send them all of the deep lore about Over the Garden Wall, because there's a lot of it.
Oh,
There
is that?
is.
Yeah.
I've made Noah, obviously when Noah and I were dating, the first fall that we were together, I had Noah watch it with me.
Nice.
And then I also was like, did you know that like
Did you know
I'm
that they researched what phase of the moon it would be when the episodes were coming out, so that
Did you know
it
that
would
it's
be
a
accurate?
retelling of Dante's Inferno?
I'm gonna have to watch that eventually.
Speaking of Dante's Inferno, we should probably jump into our movie here, because there is
Yeah.
a Dante's Inferno reference in it.
There is, yeah.
There's a lot of references to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast where we talk about horror movies. As I was gonna say, as always, but the last 2 weeks I have been you know, you guys really put me in a rough spot, by the way, saying, oh, Noah shit himself to death. Oh, he's in the shitter the whole time. I've just been working. But it definitely, nothing I say sounds anything other than, oh, Noah's making excuses because he was in the shit.
Well, yeah, you've
Working
been working.
overtime on that shitter.
You've been working on resurrecting yourself from the shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey, yo.
I'm Noah. With me today are Nina,
Hello.
Jeff,
Howdy.
and Emma. And today, we're here for your favorite horror movie and mine, 1408.
The movie that everyone has heard of and watched.
Everyone's heard of it. Everyone's seen it. Everyone was like, where's 1408? We've been waiting for you to cover more Stephen
This is
King.
a classic. We all know how you all love Stephen King, right?
We want
No,
Stephen
yeah.
King's other haunted hotel room movie. Get the Overlook out of here.
I love
And, well,
stories
hey.
about alcoholic writers who are not from New England this time.
Legally distinct from every other Stephen King character.
This guy lives in LA.
He surfs to emphasize that he lives in
Fucking
LA.
Ross from Friends. This guy lives in LA. We're here to talk about 1408, released in 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me just jump right into this one. Our main character, Mike Enslin, travels around the states to the most haunted locations he can find. Hotels, mansions, graveyards, anything you can haunt, Mikey Boy is there. He's a skeptic, and his writing career is focused around just kind of rechurning grisly details of each area and rating how scary they were on a 1 to 10 skulls. A classic true crime girly if we've ever had
He
one.
really
honestly.
is.
It's true. Yeah.
However, after coming back from a shitty little bed and breakfast that he live on his recording says 6 skulls, no wait, fuck it, 5 skulls, taking them down a peg. He gets back to sunshiny LA. Nothing bad could ever happen there because it's not dreary, nasty New England where all the horrors reside.
Yeah.
Or so we think. He does be having a surfing accident that clocks him on the noggin, but that's fine. That's just LA, baby.
Yeah, it just happens sometimes, you know.
You know, but
does.
you know, a writer, he of course has a PO box. And that P.O. box is stuffed full of brochures to little haunted bed and breakfasts around the world. You know, and they're like, oh, Mr. Enslin, please come here. Oh my God, look how scary we are. Except for one, a postcard for the Dolphin Hotel that says, only thing it says is don't enter 1408.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
After trying to make a reservation, he's told no. Absolutely not. But don't you worry. Don't you worry. He decides to, he plays, oh God, what's the... He plays the civil rights card and says, if you have a hotel room, you're legally not allowed to deny it to me.
Well, I mean,
because civil rights said so.
he goes to his boss, who's Tony Shalhoub.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Tony Shalhoub figures out that that's the angle.
Yeah, Tony
taken.
Shalhoub
Yeah,
figures
they-
it all out
They have
for
a
him.
lawyer, which from the IMDb trivia section, they do have a section about this. Technically, if the hotel has accommodations, they have to provide it to you, but they are not required to provide you specific accommodations.
Okay, I thought
That
that
makes
sounded
sense.
wrong.
That makes
I
so
thought
much
that
more
sounded
sense.
like bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought it would be. Is like if you have an open room, but not it doesn't have to be the specific room you want. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
But
regardless,
movie logic, you gotta have it.
Mike
you know?
gets it because the law, according to Hollywood, says that they have to do it or they'll get sued. This room has a absolutely staggering body count of 56 people in the less than 100 years that the hotel has been in operation. Some of those natural causes, some a little less natural. But Mike will not be dissuaded no matter how much Samuel L. Jackson says, please do not do that. Because he thinks this is going to be a great ending to his upcoming book.
Mhm.
His upcoming book, which is
Also-
probably titled 10 More Haunted Hotels, based on the titles of his that we've heard.
Honestly, a top 10 list. This is a Watch Mojo ass author.
He is.
He's
Yeah.
just like, top 10 haunted hotels. The
Number
one in
one.
Gettysburg.
Ooh.
The
Number
Overlook.
13.
Oh,
Burger King
God damn it, Emma.
footwear.
It's not 13. Although top 13 haunted locations, that just it does kind of make
It
a little
does.
more
It's
sense.
Number
wild that he
13
didn't
is
do
like
that.
the scariest one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
also,
is the
this is
the whole thing about 1408 is the numbers add up to 13.
well. This is the perfect opportunity for me to introduce a special segment that I'm going to be doing this episode throughout
so
I'm
the
so
episode.
excited. Throughout the episode, okay.
Throughout
Hit
the
us with it.
episode. So, a lot of times after we watch movies, I will go to IMDb's trivia section to see if there's anything interesting or cool that people have written about. And when I got to 1408's trivia section, I was ecstatic that it was the largest trivia section I had seen for any movie to date.
Exciting.
Scrolling through
Cool.
it, most of the information is completely useless, frustratingly so. For example, one of the fun facts is, let's see, where is it? The mobile phone that Enslin uses is a Nokia 6233.
God.
It sure is.
And the recorder that Enslin uses is a Sanyo Talkbook Pro model number TRC5880 mini cassette recorder.
Yo, that's true. You can read all of that on the front of the thing. That's
There's
correct.
so
information.
many. There's so many dumb trivia
You know,
shits. But
I gotta say,
There are
I'm not surprised.
there are some, and throughout the episode, I am going to be reading some fun trivias that people wrote about. But one of them is obviously about the number 13 in this movie. Like Nita mentioned, 1408 does add up to 13. 13 is an unlucky number in the movie, like towards the beginning, so this isn't a spoiler.
Mhm.
They talk about how, like, 13 is an unlucky number, so like we skip the 13th floor, and so technically the 14th floor is the 13th floor. And yeah, so 13's an unlucky number. There's a lot of 13 things in this movie, and I hope you're excited to hear about all of them.
I'm so
I am,
excited for all
Emma.
these 13s. I actually didn't realize that's what was going on because when when he sees 1408 and he does the math on it,
Mhm.
all that's shown in the movie is he writes equals 13 on the postcard and then draws a circle around it. So I had no idea what that actually even was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that that's something that happened in the book, and
Right.
there was a thought line. He's like 1408. Interesting. The numbers 1, 4, and 8 add up to 13. This has to be a bit.
Yeah, but then how do you portray that? You don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead
But
they just had him
fun
write
fact.
equals 13.
On the postcard that he receives telling him not to enter 1408, it specifically says don't enter 1408, which when you add all those letters together, it's 13.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Okay.
Is that like the number of the letters, or like a gematria kind of numerical value of the letters calculation?
There are 13 characters in the phrase
Okay.
don't enter 1408.
Okay.
Oh, because I'm like adding the numerical position up, and I'm like, but T is like way down
It's
there.
way
That's
out,
past
yeah.
No,
13.
no. But
Okay.
Mike Enslin, when you add our main character, the titular main character of the movie, when you add the letters of his name together, you get 10.
Oh my god.
But M, that Mike starts with, is the 13th letter of the alphabet.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
I hate this movie.
It fucking keeps
Maybe
going.
this movie's way better than I thought it was, because
All right, let's get into it.
Well, you know who else thought this movie was better than you thought it was? Likely. IMDb with a 6.8 out of 10.
that is better than
Rotten
I thought it was.
Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes with an 80%.
That's way better than I thought it was.
Metacritic with a 64%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Letterboxd with a 3.2 out of 5, which is also a 6.4 if we want to get into that.
Yeah.
It on the whole, everyone's agreeing this is a solid 65% movie.
Yeah?
A passing grade,
A passing
but
grade.
barely.
With a budget of 25 million and a box office return of 133 million, the movie more than quintupled everything.
Yeah, this
so
shit was
it did pretty
profitable,
good.
huh?
Wow.
And it's really funny. You look back at it, and people don't care for the movie as much now. Obviously, we've heard Jeff say 1408, more like 140 shit, because it's shit. And everyone's like, oh my God, Jeff, you can't say shit on the podcast. But that's what people are saying about the movie, too. Even though it was wildly popular comparatively when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really funny that for a movie that did this well financially, it's just kind of like everyone's like, eh.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the financial thing is just the number of people who were excited enough to go see it in the theater, you know? And an awful lot of that
And-
could be riding just on the fact that it's a Stephen King story with John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson in it. Like, that sounds exciting to an awful lot of people.
It really does.
Yeah.
And frankly,
Also, Tony Shalhoub,
it's
he
very
was
fun to me.
huge in 2007.
He wasn't even credited in that, like, as a main selling point of this movie. He was in the movie
Well, that's
for
good. He's there
less
for like
time
10
than
seconds.
Samuel L.
Yeah,
Jackson.
He's barely there.
Also, so funny that Samuel L. Jackson has like 50% of the billing on the cover of the DVD case.
he's there for 3
because
minutes.
he's in the movie for 5 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes, 5
And
minutes.
he's
tops.
great.
He's the
he's
best
great in
part of
his
the
time
movie.
there.
I love him.
Honestly, yeah.
But I just wanted to know, you know, with the critical numbers out there, right? And with
Mhm.
my 8 out of 10 out there now, setting a bar that you can all like limbo under very easily.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the movie?
Okay. Emma, you said you had a guess. There is one thing about this movie that I really enjoyed, and Emma said that they had a guess.
Oh gosh, no, I can't say it until spoiler section.
Damn. Okay, I'll hold on to it as well
I-
then, and
I have a
I'll
guess.
just say my rating. Okay.
Is it the fact that this is most definitely the Stephen King that Mike Flanagan is always emulating?
That is
Because
definitely
the whole front
that.
half
Okay,
of this
so
movie is Mike Flanagan as all hell.
I want to. This feels like I'm gonna be the like your 10th grade English teacher and be like you're close, but you're like
Joke's
that is
on you,
part
I
of
didn't
it.
have a 10th grade English teacher.
I did, but that's just because I stopped homeschooling in 8th grade. Yeah, no, there is a reason that I will get into during spoilers, but I'm gonna give this one a 7. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I will talk about why
Well, that's great.
later.
Our first limbo under my bar. Jeff, you can go after Emma because I feel like Emma's might be
Well,
higher
I'm
than
passing
yours. and I
under
feel
this
like if we
bar
can-
very, very easily because I'm giving it a 4.5.
God damn it! I said to wait for Emma.
This is a low mid right here.
Dang.
There is an awful lot in the early parts that charms me, and that makes me even angrier at how much I hate the later parts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the first parts of this movie, I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
I was
it's very
having a
fun
great
on the
time.
front end.
I was watching it with Piper. We were joking around about how the main character's style is classical neckbeard.
Very much.
Mhm.
And also just kind of joking around about things throughout the movie. But we were having a great time with it.
Yeah.
And I think it really starts going downhill once he enters the room.
Yeah, I think it's about
and
the midway point of the
room
movie.
Stuff, yeah,
where
the
it,
room
like,
stuff
fully
starts
loses me.
happening, but it was still like fun enough, and I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give it like a 6.5.
Oh.
That
Man.
was
Oh,
sigh
man.
of relief or defeat. I'm not sure which one that was.
That was
Definitely relief. I knew that I liked it.
Yeah.
And after watching, I knew that Nina liked it. And
Yeah.
then when Jeff posted in the server, can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say about this, I knew Jeff hated it.
Something that I don't even remember saying in the Discord, actually. But
There,
And
It's
then-
in there.
When Emma said, don't look at the IMDb stuff, also, it's the worst IMDb trivia I've ever seen in my life, I'm like, oh
It
no,
is.
I think
Yeah.
Emma hates it too.
I said, and that's when I said the fact that Emma even like went that deep into the trivia means that Emma liked it at least a little bit.
enough to look closely, yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Okay,
there
so-
were so many times going through this IMDb trivia I wanted to quit though.
But you stuck
Okay,
it
so
out.
but-
You did it for
Bad
us,
about
and
it.
we appreciate
Yeah.
that.
But
Before we hit content
IMDb
warnings,
trivia time.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, 1 second. In its standard edition, the DVD runtime is exactly 104 minutes and 8 seconds.
Whoa.
Referring directly to the movie's title, this also makes the
104:08,
DVD stop playing at precisely 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 8 seconds. Again, referring to the title.
The title being 14408.
so true, 14.08.
Oh my
Alright.
god.
So I have a question for Jeff,
What's that?
and it's because of an offhanded comment that was made when we were hanging out. The reason you hate this movie,
well, part of it. I've got
Part of
lots
the
of
reason.
small reasons.
is it the Bill Murray thing? that you
Yeah,
said?
okay, now when you say the Bill Murray thing, I assume you're referring to the first note that I took on this, because I did watch this movie twice. I forgot to take notes the first time. So the second time, the first note that I took, if you look here, is they really wanted Bill Murray counter with 10 hash marks next to it. Every time that he said something that made me think they really, really just wanted Bill Murray to play this role, I would add a mark. Now, 10 is actually not as high a number as it feels like it ought to be if you've watched this movie, because I wasn't marking it for individual lines, it was for moments that made me think it, and a lot of these moments are like extended over sequences and stuff like that.
So, fun fact, IMDb trivia.
Oh,
Oh my god.
was another actor attached to this movie
okay.
before John Cusack, but it was not Bill Murray.
Okay.
Thank
was it?
God.
Who was it?
Keanu Reeves.
God damn. You know what? You know what?
Keanu Reeves. God damn it.
This would have just been the devil's advocate again, though. We can only have so many times of Keanu going through it in New York City.
No, I think we could have as many as we want,
Do
actually.
you think they would have costumed him the same? Do you think they would
God,
have
I
put him in
hope
that
so.
stupid
God.
fucking shirt?
Oh, they 100% would have. What do you mean?
I hope so.
God, the Hawaiian shirt sold the movie. It
So-
carried
Yeah.
those scenes.
I went from watching this movie to going and watching the X-Men movies again, and I realized that I just really like it when a man wears a stupid fucking shirt through a whole movie.
Yeah.
It makes me very
A
happy.
guy who just wears a stupid shirt is a fun thing for his character.
It is. And especially if that character in Wolverine's case happens to be pretty much a closed off badass most of the rest of the time, but then every once in a while he wears a big ass belt buckle and a paisley button up. And that just tells you a lot about the kind of man he is.
Paisley Button
this one
is
is just-
such a choice.
I love him so much. Versus this movie where it also tells you just so much about this man. And then we also get to watch him wear it through the entire sequence of events in the room. It's so good.
Man's going through it with that stupid ass shirt.
Yep.
Better than going through it without a stupid ass shirt.
I think the
That's
shirt
true.
does add a lot to the movie for me.
It makes it feel more like it's supposed to be Bill Murray to me, because so much of this movie, especially on the latter half, just feels like it's borrowed scenes from Scrooged, but with most of the jokes
I
pulled
did say
out.
that as well.
Okay,
it does
good.
feel
I'm glad
very.
that wasn't just me.
So early on into the movie, I said something to Noah about how this movie feels 90s to me.
Extremely.
Mhm.
And I think a big part of why is these it feels like they wanted, like they took the horror dial that's already inherent to A Christmas Carol
Mhm.
and like dialed it all the way up.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
Rapid
I wanna talk
fire
about more of that,
IMDb
but-
trivia.
we're
Oh shit, here we go.
The room's key lock also has 6214 etched into it, which adds up to, you guessed it, 13.
Oh my god.
And the first death that occurred in the room happened in 1912, which adds up to 13.
Oh my god.
Also, if you add 19 plus 12, you get 31, which, when reversed, is 13.
God damn it.
Hey,
This
that's
is-
just like that Offspring song.
This is literally just Fred Durst thinking he's the coolest guy by putting 1, 2, 3 times 2 to the 6, and he's like, actually, that adds up to my locker combination when I was in high school. And it's like, okay, good job, Fred. You can do math.
See,
Also,
no, I
It sounds like
Okay, go ahead.
somebody isn't jonesing for his fix of the Limp Bizkit mix.
The hotel is mentioned to be at 2254 Lexington Street in New York City. 2254 adds up to, class,
13.
12?
13?
13.
Oh.
Fuck you, Jeff. I got it right.
See, this is one of those things where I kind of love it, but like in the stupidest way possible. Of like, every opportunity they had to do it, they're just like, wouldn't it be funny?
Okay, I love it, but I also, all I can think is Emma reading through 700 trivia notes that just say,
It's just numbers.
if you count the number of ceiling tiles in the room, you'll see it's 13 tiles across. As he walks across the room, he taps 13 times on his left breast pocket.
If you pay
That's
attention
what
when
I
he's
assume
taping his little
every
voice
note
memos
was.
on the tape recorder, he does it 13 times.
You don't know how close
He
you are.
takes exactly 13 sips of cognac over the course of the movie.
Samuel L. Jackson's
Mike
character
opens
says
the
that
window
bottle
13
costs what, $800? And if you add all those numbers together, they add up to 13.
$832 when you can find it. And what is that?
Actually, so additional reference to the number 13. The protagonist's full name, I said earlier, his name is
Is it
Mike
Michael
Enslin,
Mike
J?
Enslin, yeah.
But Michael Enslin is 13.
Oh
God
my god!
God, this is
All right.
ridiculous. We haven't even gotten into the spoiler section yet.
New content warning I'm about to drop in here.
Numbers.
Boring trivia.
You have
But-
no idea. As I was scrolling through this trivia, so fucking many. I said this was the longest trivia section I've seen. So much of it starts with additional reference to the number 13.
At least they tag it ahead of
I
time.
just
You don't have to
wanted-
read the entire thing to find out. It's
I
just
just wanted
13
to
again.
throw my computer in frustration.
God.
Other content warnings.
Okay, I'm going to hit the content warnings real
Yeah,
quick
yeah,
now
let's
so that
hit
we can
that.
hit the spoilers and we can really dig into the number 13 and what it might symbolize in this movie. Content warnings I have here are child death, unreality, and we have also suicide and self-harm, but it is all ghosts. Mike does not do this, but the ghosts do.
And it's talked about.
It's
It is
talked
talked
about
about
an awful lot,
heavily.
yeah.
And there are pictures.
Yeah.
In a very, Mike Flanagan was taking big notes for Oculus kind of way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Mike, but
We love you, Mike.
Love
Mike
Mike still,
Flanagan
yeah.
foaming at the mouth watching this going, oh my god, all this Stephen King.
I love Mike.
Yeah. Oh man.
But wow.
Emma,
Yeah.
how scary was this movie though? Outside of the number 13, very terrifying.
Yeah.
What do you think?
If you're gonna ban me from using 13 as a metric,
13 out of 10.
13 out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. Because when you take 13 and you add the 1 and a 3, you get
Oh, 4. Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
but
crazy.
no, honestly,
That's way
it's like
too high.
It's like a 1.
I thought you were gonna say a 3 out of 10 because
'Cause
if
then
you
you
add
add
the 3 and
those
the 10, it's
together,
13.
Either way, honestly.
It's a 1 because when you add the 1 and 0, you get 1.
It's a 13.
Additional
a
reference to
13
the
out
number
of
13.
100.
Additional reference to the number 13. The time on the electronic clock radio shows 7:51 when Mike enters the room. 7 plus 5 plus 1 equals 13.
13.
Fucking shoot me.
my god.
Emma,
Okay, so here's the
braver
thing.
than any troop trudging into this trivia
So,
section.
I want to say something. As a writer, it's so easy to do this. It's not fucking impressive. All you have to do is when there is a number in your movie, just make it add up to 13. It's not clever.
You just
it's
reverse
so
engineer it.
easy.
Yeah.
You just reverse engineer it. You just have to decide that you're going to do the bit, and then doing the bit is super fucking easy.
I do actually immensely respect that they just took this bit too far, though.
They really did just
I
run
love
with
that
it.
a little bit.
You guys have no idea.
I'm so
It's
excited.
only just beginning.
Oh, that's like the song in the movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
We've
Oh my
only just
god,
begun.
Emma's making a movie reference. Emma must have
Oh my
liked
That
it.
song gets
gosh.
played for a cumulative 13 minutes and 13 seconds.
No, unfortunately, no.
All right, let's get into it.
The spoiler section on this delightful. Also, I need to note, I have, I think, 1.5 pages of true notes on this. It goes to page 4, but that's because I actually wrote my synopses down. I did not take a lot of notes this time around because this is the second time I watch, and I'm so bad at taking notes on a second viewing. Peek behind the curtain. All of my notes are stream of consciousness notes.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure no one expected that with things like typo filled. Mike, what the fuv? You can't do that being an entire note.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, just for preparation later. Anyway, spoilers. Mike finally gets into room 1408, only to find it be a massive letdown. It's just a hotel room with nothing weird or creepy about it, other than, as he notes, the normal bad vibes that all hotel rooms have. You know, sure, the room was too hot. And yeah, there was the surprise turn down service moment, but he was so sure that it was just an intentionally broken thermostat, or that there was a maid hiding in his closet setting stuff up for him while he was like looking out the window. But you know, in his mind, this is nothing that cannot be orchestrated just to scare somebody. Calling down to the front desk, he's like, "Hey, numbskulls, my room's too toasty. Give me a goddamn technician." And they're like, "Okay, cool. 2 minutes." And this shocks Mike. He did not think that they would send him a technician. He thought that was part of the thing. The guy comes up, will not enter the room. He's like, "Yeah, I know what room this is. I'm not going in.
I love this
Any
guy.
jackass can fix this thing."
I love that that's
Take the
the way
panel
he
off.
says it.
It's so funny. He's like, "There's a vial of mercury. Tap the vial of mercury. Everything will be fine."
And he's got
Mike
no
taps it.
patience with him. He takes like an extra
Zero
second before
patience.
doing it, and the guy's like, just tap the damn thing. Like,
Yeah. And Mike taps it. It turns on. He's like, "Oh, cool. Thank you." And the guy's already gone. He's like halfway down the hallway by the time Mike begins to tap the thing. Mike looks out and he's like, "Hello, can I give you a tip?" Guy's long
He's
gone.
gone.
Goes back in, closes the door, and that's when things really start to kick off. Mike's the clock in his bedroom starts counting down from 60. Mike sees ghosts of people who like killed themselves in the room or whatever, taking their turns jumping out windows. He walks into the bathroom. It sprays him with hot water. He's chased by an angry hammer man. The window tries to eat his hand. You know, all the classic disasters that you could possibly want in a hotel room, right down to where he thinks he also sees a camera in the air vent, which only makes him think even more that this whole thing is staged. Which, quick detour, I love that the ghosts were done up in film style of the era they died in. So we
Yeah.
had a Technicolor lady, and then we had heavy film grain and
like sepia tone,
burn
like,
marks,
yeah,
sepia tone, old oil baron man.
that was pretty
You know,
neat.
it
That's
was
a fun touch.
I like that effect.
Yeah.
It was a cool effect for the ghosts.
Very fun. Yeah.
But yeah, time passes. He tries to make his way from his room to another by climbing outside. The window all disappears. He sees
the window all disappears.
Yeah.
Don't you hate when that happens?
He sees a mirror of himself in the building across the street. He tries to throw a lamp outside to get attention. It fizzes out before it hits the ground. He's having a bad time here, all right? He tries to call his wife on his computer, and it dies before, and he's like, send help, send help. And she's like, why the fuck are you in New York City, you piece of shit? You abandoned me?
I love that her first move
And-
is to start yelling at him. She's so right for that.
As she should.
Yeah.
She's very real for that.
He deserves it.
But, the longer he spends in here, the less good it's doing for him, right? His dead father appears. He hears his dead daughter. The room freezes to ice. You don't want that. He's sitting here burning the pile of evidence that was given to him by
Olin.
Olin. Yeah, Olin, Samuel L. Jackson's character, who I'm not mentioning in this. We'll talk about him more in the conversation because it's just he tells him about the room.
Yeah.
That's it. He tries to get him to not
He's
do
in
it.
all the good parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Almost.
But the room is frozen solid, and Mike's wife is giving him a
The
call.
thermostat says it's 13 degrees in there.
It says it's 13 degrees in there. Sounds like he needs to tap that mercury again. Know what I'm saying?
The thermostat didn't say
It did
was
not
13
actually
degrees,
say that. Yeah, we
actually,
have to
but
establish what's real
Oh
and
my
what's not.
God.
here.
Oh yeah, I'm
additional
sorry. It
reference
said
to the number 13. I'm sorry you brought this on yourselves. After the sprinklers start pouring, the camera cuts to the thermostat showing 49 degrees Fahrenheit. If we convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, 49 degrees Fahrenheit is 9.4 degrees
Oh my
Celsius.
God.
Adding the digits 4 and 9 for
13.
Celsius.
Holy shit.
we don't
it's-
even need to go to Celsius. 49 degrees Fahrenheit is also still 13.
The fact that it's both, though?
Additional
kinda
reference to the number 13, though. The room's thermostat model is written on the lower right as SUK 3073.
Oh my God.
The digits of the series 3073 add up to 13.
Holy shit.
SUK is because it sucks. Anyway, in his icebox room, he gets another video call from his wife who's like, yeah, the cops are in the room right now and you are not there. But then fake Mike takes over and the computer's like, oh my God, I love you so much. I've always loved you and needed you. Please come to my hotel room and save me. I'm in such a bad spot. And she's like, oh my God, fine, I'll come. And, Mike's not having any of this. He's like, you can't have my wife. You can have me, but leave her out of this. She's an innocent. And the room's like, hey, go fuck yourself, and starts to flood because one of the paintings on the wall is a boat. And the boat just pours the ocean into the room. And Mike's panicking. He's like, oh my God, I'm going to drown in the 14th story of an apartment building.
And then he
Oh
does.
no, this is the worst. And then he surfaces. Oh my God, it was a
What's that?
freak surfing accident.
Surfaces?
He surfaces. You may remember me mentioning his surfing accident. Well, newsflash, asshole. The whole thing was a dream. He wakes up in a hospital room and his wife is there and he's like, am I in New York? She's like, why would you be in New York? You're in LA. You had a surfing accident. I can't believe you still surf. You're too old to surf. And he's like, oh, you don't understand. I just had the craziest dream and you were there and you were there.
And I was in this Kafka-esque hotel.
This Kafka-esque hotel. And she's like, well, if you had all these thoughts about our daughter and everything, maybe it's time to finally write about that and unpack all of that. And he's like, you know what? I think I shall. I will do that. But while they're having this conversation, who does he see in the background of their restaurant? But Technicolor Ghost. Oh no, never mind. It's a normal person who just happens to look like them. Never mind. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing bad
That
could
was a
happen
close
here.
one.
That was a close one. Also, he's he flips through the old, what's that, lithograph? Is that what it's called?
Sure.
The what?
Lithograph?
The
What is it?
newspaper
The newspaper
looker
machine?
thing.
Oh
don't know
yeah,
what
I don't
it's called.
fucking know.
You
I
You
called
dropped
it
it by name.
Lover. No, I did not. I called it the flippy clicky thing.
Is that
So-
is that what a microfiche is, or is that something else?
Isn't that a microfiche?
I think that's a microfiche.
Regardless, he flips through the
I know it's a
newspaper
microfiche
in the
when they do
library.
it in The Ring, but I don't know the different kinds of film and
It's not
shit.
important for now, though. The important thing is he flips through, and where it had said before that our oil baron guy or railway tycoon or whoever he was had died in room 1408, now it says he fell off a bridge.
Isn't a lithograph
And
kind of
he's
like
like-
a woodcut or some shit? Sorry.
I don't know, man. It doesn't matter. I swear to God, Nina dropped it by name.
I did not. I said the flippy thing.
Anyway, he goes to turn in his manuscript. He shit this book out in no time flat, and he's like, I got my new book. Please overnight this to New York, because it needs to be there today for some reason.
Right.
And the guy's like, listen up, bitch, we closed. And it's, dare I say, it's the bellhop from earlier in the movie. No, that can't be it.
Dun, dun,
Up until they
dun.
tear the entire post office down around him. Bitch, we're in the room.
This is kind of a
And
fun
you know what
sequence, actually, because like he's in there,
It
and
is.
there's
Great.
like some guys doing like light construction work and stuff. And then once he like says the wrong thing or like looks at them the wrong way, they all just pick up hammers and start destroying the entire room to reveal
Yeah.
It's a
hotel
really fun
room stuff
sequence.
on the other side of all the walls. It's actually kind of neat.
Mm-hmm. And he wakes up. He doesn't wake up. He's in the room again in his doofy Hawaiian shirt again.
And he's like, "No,
And
I was out."
He's like, I was out. I
Ah."
was out. And there's a door. And he's like, fine, open the door. And the door opens and his daughter comes out. And she's like, can you please stay with me forever? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'm here. I'll stay. And then she dies again. And then she breaks into nothing in his arms.
collapses
and
into
he has
ash. She like
Yep, into
explodes
ash.
into dust, basically.
Yeah, he's having a miserable time of it, and the room resets. And here he is all over again. And he gets a call from the front desk saying, all right, would you like to check out? Or would you like to relive this hour forever? And a noose drops down from the ceiling. It's like, I'm not checking out your way. I'm better than you. And they're like, okay, cool. Have fun reliving the hour then, dipwad.
And then another
And
noose
the radio
appears.
plays It's Only Just Begun again, or whatever the hell it was playing. And Mike's like, you know what? I'm going to take this very expensive cognac and turn it into a Molotov. And he sets the entire hotel room on fire. He lights his apocalypse
His
cigarette
end of
that
the
he
world
had with
cigarette
him.
that he
End of
carries
the
with him
world
at all
cigarette.
times
He's like,
because it's a writer thing.
of course.
I have one of those too. You're contractually obligated to.
It's a writer thing, yeah.
It's true. I'm like, Nina, why'd you buy a pack of cigarettes, throw them all out except for one? At least keep them all just in case you break it. And then Nina's like, no, I swear, it's a writer thing. You wouldn't understand. Promptly snapped it in half, had to buy a fresh pack. It was really awkward.
It's true. I was there.
But yeah, Mike's wife arrives just in time to see his room explode out onto the street. The firefighters rescue him out of there, dragging him out, just barely on the edge of life. And he wakes up again in a hotel room. But this time it's in New York. And his wife's like,
Hospital room.
Hospital, yeah.
a hospital. Yeah, my mistake. Hospital room in New York. And his wife's like, yeah, you're in New York. Why are you here? And why was your hotel room on fire? And he's like, no, it was a crazy spiritual journey. And I talked to our daughter, and I think I've grown a lot as a person. And I'm going to write another book about our experiences as a couple. We should get back together. And he does that. And she's like, wow, you wrote so fast. And he's like, oh yeah, I already wrote this book, very mysteriously.
line.
But then she's like, oh, this box of garbage smells like smoke. We should throw it away, right? And he rescues his little tape recorder out of there. And he's like, oh no, everything else you can throw away, but me and this recorder, we've really been through a lot. Sets it down, and as she turns away, he starts playing it, and it's him talking about how boring the hotel room is, a little stain on the floor underneath the painting of a dollar store boat. And then his daughter's voice appears on the tape, saying, oh man, everything that happened in the room really happened in real life, and it wasn't all in his head.
And they both make stupid faces at the camera for 10 seconds, and then the credits roll.
Yeah.
13
Yeah.
seconds, actually. And-
Additional reference to the number 13.
Actually, additional reference to the number 13. I didn't want to say this because I didn't want to derail things too much. But
Well, no, this is topical.
two more additional references to the number 13 about the thermostat.
oh my
About the
god.
thermostat, both of them? How much can there be about the thermostat?
4.
I wish that it had started at 85 degrees instead of just 80, because firstly, that would have been
Okay.
fun.
Hold on. Hang
That's
on.
easy.
Hang on to your seats, folks.
I'm hanging on.
Additional reference to the number 13. After the engineer leaves and Mike grabs a drink, the electronic clock radio plays the song We've Only Just Begun.
Right.
again at 8:07, implying the engineer arrived at 8:05.
Oh.
Adding 8 and 5 together results in 13.
Implying?
Okay, so here's this movie. This is not something. This is an Emma observation. This is not something that's in the trivia section, and I don't know how like accurate it is for the entire movie. But considering how precise this movie is with like time and everything, I wouldn't be surprised. But when he first enters the room and everything's happening, and then the clock starts the countdown of 60 minutes, I was like, I wonder if they're going to keep that accurate the whole time. That would be a pretty cool, neat detail.
It would.
And obviously, I didn't track it the entire time, but towards the end, in the last like minute, it starts counting down. I think the first time you see it is at like 40 something seconds. So I started counting down with it, and it was accurate the entire time. So
cool.
The scene of him fixing the thermostat takes about 2 minutes. So the whole like implying the engineer arrived at 8:05 could be accurate, and 8 plus 5 equals 13. But that's not it. Additional reference to the number 13. When Mike first enters the room, the temperature was hot and the thermostat was stuck on 81 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
After the room started tormenting him about his daughter's death, it starts freezing and the thermostat shows -4 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature interval between the two extremities is 85. Adding the two digits 8 and 5 results in 13.
What the
And adding 81 and 4 degrees also makes 13.
I hate
Also,
it here.
81, it's just said 80. I don't know about that one. That
It
seems
was
like
slightly
a
past
stretch.
80. It was slightly past 80.
Oh, my mistake, slightly past 80.
Okay, now that we've done the spoiler section, I want to know why you think I like this movie.
I thought it was gonna be. I thought you maybe noticed how
13s?
it was very accurate with its time, and I thought you maybe noticed what I noticed about the clock being accurate. And
I did.
You really liking that detail, and I thought that might be.
I
why
did
you really
notice
enjoyed
that.
it.
That's not it.
Okay.
It's much closer to what Jeff said. It's because I love the character of the room. I find her to be really fucking funny. I think
Yeah.
that all of the ways that the room behaves and fucks with Mike creates a really interesting like entity character, and I love like trickster gods, I love evil entities, and I love it when they aren't explained and their motivation isn't explained, and this character of the room hits every single button on that for me. So all of the torment kind of just being goofy, silly, weird was making me love her even more as a character. She just kind of like absolutely fucks with this
It's
man.
almost Evil
Every
Dead
time-
2 at a certain point, right? It just
It
becomes
really is,
so
'cause she-
absurd.
So she keeps letting him attempt new ways to escape and like do new things and giving him new outs, and she just lets him go to like a certain extent, and then the moment that he like gets back in the room, she cuts it off completely. I love that she keeps doing that. She like boards up the windows, like locks the door, breaks the key in the like lock, all the fucking stuff with the vent. She's like, enough of that. I really love the way that she lets him think that he has power, and then like just ruins his potential escape at the worst possible moment. Like keeps letting him have hope and then yanking it away from him. I love that so much. What a fun character.
I really liked that all of these avenues of potential escape that he explores, or all of the kind of challenges the room throws at him, are shown to be ways that the room has fucked with people in the past through the people's causes of death. Like people jumping out of the window is an easy one. They're trapped in there and they're like, this is the only way out, which is kind of like one of the first challenges the room throws at him. Another one is like they joke at the beginning when Olin is talking about all the ways that people have died. One of them died by drowning in their soup. And he was like, how does somebody drown in their soup? And then we get the scene where the water kind of like crashes into the room through the painting. And somebody could have drowned there, and the room like stages it of like, oh, he drowned in a soup. People slitting their wrists, I imagine, is related to probably like death of a loved one and bringing that loved one back and being like, oh, stay with me, please. Then like hanging in the vent and like all this other stuff. And so I thought it was cool that kind of see what points like other people got to like in this whole like torture basically, and where they gave up at via their cause of death.
Yeah, or the fact that a lot of them maybe didn't even ever give up, and she just like they died, they slipped and fell or something. I think
causes.
I think a lot of why Mike survived was just pure luck. I don't think he's smart or special or anything.
No.
He just
and that's
and also here's the other thing is she says, do you want to repeat this hour over and over again? Like, we actually don't know how many of those people survived multiple loops before they finally bit it at some point, because all he says is no one's lasted more than an hour.
But we don't know how long that actually is to the outside. So I would like to posit a question to the cast. When was his last chance to leave the room? Because this is something that I've seen a lot of people argue about. Was he screwed the minute he set foot in the hotel room, or did he have 2 outs? And I'm in the 2 outs camp. So here's
I think
my
the technician was probably the last time.
Yeah, because I think that's one of them. I think the first one was when he made an entire loop of the floor by accident and came back to the elevator, and then went right back down the line.
I love that scene.
Went to the room. So there's that. And then I think the technician is his last chance, because he gets outside the door. The technician opens the door, he walks out to try and catch him, and then goes back in and shuts the door. And that's when the countdown starts.
Right.
Countdown doesn't start. The room's fucking with him
and
before that.
That's one of Olin's things, right? He says when they go in to turn the room once a month, they always keep the door open.
Keep the door open, and they're in there for only like 10 minutes.
Altogether.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's his last chance. The room's like, okay, big man, you survived our first 2 make you unsettled things, and you also fixed the thermostat. Thanks for that one.
Now you die.
You got 1 chance to leave.
I fully believe that the thermostat was just broken and the room was like, that wasn't part of the room torturing him. The thermostat was literally just broken. And part of the reason that she gave him the opportunity to leave was because he fixed the thermostat. She's like, yeah, come on. I need full control to make this work.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Please tap the mercury.
I definitely land, and he had 2 opportunities. One at the elevator to just like back out entirely, and one in that moment when the technician leaves, when he could have left with him.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
Yeah. I
That
think
makes sense.
that's another thing that I really like about the idea of giving of making the torture kind of sweeter by giving him a moment to think, like, I could have gotten out, like I could have, like, I had opportunities to leave, it seems like I'm gonna be able to escape all this shit, and then to get that like yanked away. If he had not been able to escape from the very beginning, if he had had no opportunity to leave, if people hadn't constantly been telling him not to, then he maybe could have blamed someone else, or maybe could have kind of like lived under the delusion that like there was no other way this could have gone. But he keeps getting people telling him that he can, like, that he should not do it. He gets opportunities to leave, and he makes the full decision to go back into that room. And like, yeah, that I love how fucking cocky and how much of a dick he is and how frantic he is. I love the characterizations in this movie.
Yeah.
It's so 90s though. It's so goofy. It's so Home Alone.
It's fairly Home
When we were
Alone.
when we first started watching the movie, Piper was like, when did this movie come out? And I was like, I don't know, like early 20-teens. And they're like, it feels like a very 2007 movie. And I was like, okay, let me look it up. And then it came out in 2007, and I was like, holy shit.
All the
Wow,
lighting.
that's good, because I think it feels like a very 2001 90s movie.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
in the Saw way that it's all fluorescent green light, but in the
It's gritty.
It's
Well, but
it's kind of muddy.
in the 7 way, where it's all a bunch of warm yellow light.
Yeah.
You gotta watch the Midnight Meat Train because it looks very 2007 in the same way that this looks very 2007.
Got
Okay.
it.
They've
Is it
got
also 2007?
the same, yeah. It's either 2007 or 2008, which those were the same year, just twice.
So true.
So true.
But like it's particular like lighting and filtering and stuff is super 2007 in sort of the same way that this is super 2007. It does a lot of cooler lighting, but like that's kind of beside the point. The filtering, the color grading, and that kind of stuff on this to me looks extremely 2007.
What do you think of the theory that the postcard was sent to Mike by the room itself because it hadn't had anything to eat in a long time?
Well, you know, Olin didn't send that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely didn't.
How's the okay? So here's my question: how's the room going to do that shit? Because I
I
don't
don't
think
give a shit.
I don't think
That's gonna
that she-
go to the post office. Of course.
Oh, that's how she knows what the post office looks like later on.
Yeah.
When she,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Actually,
Maybe
additional
she's
reference
friends
to the
with
number
the
13.
post office. Did you think of that?
Oh shit! I never even
Maybe
thought
they're
about
just
that.
friends.
Additional reference to the number
the
13
post
in the post office. Earlier, Noah, when you were like, when you were joking about all the places 13 could be, and you were like, there are 13 squares on the tiles or whatever.
Oh my god.
The post office where Enslin has his P.O. box has 13 squares outside the building.
Well,
Yeah. And also, when he's in the post office later, like in the dream sequence kind of, the post office worker mentions 148 to the person he's getting mail for, which obviously adds up to 14. But this happens at film time 1 hour, 22 minutes, 35 seconds, which also adds up to 13.
Ah.
God damn it. I'm personally though, I'm down with the theory that the hotel sent the postcard. I mean, why
I
not?
feel like that's the only possible read of it.
Because it's one of those things where like it's a Stephen King inciting event. I'm not trying to read that much into it.
Right.
True.
Yeah, that's fair.
I choose to simply believe it happened.
I
think-
want to.
Yeah.
I want it to be that someone brought one of his stupid fucking books into the room, and she was like, "This guy sounds
This
Yeah,
hilarious."
because that would be my question. Is not how did the room send the postcard, but how did the room know this guy exists?
Yeah.
Also, that's one of the funny things at the very end of the movie when he's like, all right, I set the room on fire. Then he pulls out his recorder and goes on this rant about how the hotel room is mid. And he's like, it's dated, it's musty, it's tacky, 7 skulls.
He gives it 10. Actually, he gives it 10.
Oh, 10, I'm sorry.
I fucking hate that.
Yeah, he
scene.
does
I hate
give
it
it-
so much.
Yeah.
That, I will say,
It's another
is
Bill
the very
Murray
Bill
moment.
Murray
It's
scene.
just
Yeah.
Yeah, he just goes off while the room's on fire. And then he sits down, he lights his cigarette, and is like, all right, here we are.
Yeah. Additional reference to the number 13.
He
The
tucks his cigarette behind his
postcard-
ear 13 times.
Maybe, I don't know. The postcard that told him not to go into 1408 was sent on May 26th. When you take 5, 2, and 6 and you add them all together, you get 13.
You know, I didn't think it
And
was possible,
26
but
is
this
two
is
13s.
actually getting tiresome.
Just you wait. I have even more.
I'm sure it'll come back around and be funny again by the time we're done. But like,
So let's talk about Olin a little bit.
Let's talk about
50%
Olin.
of the billing on this movie, 5 minutes of the 13 runtime.
Yeah.
Maybe he's
I
in
have-
the movie for 13 minutes. Who knows?
I have great news for you.
Oh no.
There are no 13 related facts related to Olin.
All right, we gotta stay on Olin. We gotta stay here.
wait, how many letters are there in the name Samuel L. Jackson? Because
So Piper figured this out actually. Samuel L. Jackson, if you take out the L and it's just Samuel Jackson, has 13 letters.
that's why he leaves the L in there.
Yeah,
Unlucky.
because he's like, I don't want to be a part of this.
Nope.
That's when he started going by Samuel L. Jackson. Before that, it was just Samuel Jackson.
So I love Olin as a character because
He's fun.
Enslin comes up and he's like, "Hi, I've got a reservation." And she's like, "Okay, what's your name?" And he spells his name out real pretentiously for her so that she can find him. And a little pop-up says, "Alert management."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, 1 minute." And then just walks away. informs not Samuel L. Jackson,
Just some guy.
just
Yeah.
the floor manager at the time, and then Samuel L. Jackson comes out of fucking nowhere, not connected to any of the people who have been told.
Well, I'm sure
I think-
the floor manager went and got
Yeah,
him.
because the floor
I'm
manager
sure,
kind
but-
of
'Cause
disappears.
he walked away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he pops into Mike's vision sideways. So I think he kind of
But-
like goes and gets Olin and then comes back.
But
It's-
Noah, I
yeah.
hate to do this to
Oh,
you,
no.
but additional reference to number 13.
We're back.
The
13 is the
receptionist,
approximate tipping amount you should tip the busboy who takes your stuff to the upper room.
the receptionist checks Mike's reservation just as the time on her computer screen hits 19:36 and 12 seconds. Adding 19, 36, and 12 results in 67, which added together as separate digits, 6 plus 7.
That
is
cannot
13.
be intentional. Now you're just
That's
fucking me.
ridiculous.
It's listed
just
in the
keeps getting
trivia.
More and more convoluted.
That's how we know it's real.
At least it's not implied
That's-
this time.
Honestly, I was about to say that's almost as good as the it implies that 2 minutes beforehand, which adds up to 13,
Yeah.
the guy showed up. Okay, so Olin comes in and he's like, let's take a walk. And they go to his office and he's like, I will upgrade your room. And Mike goes, go fuck yourself. And he's like, I will give you access to secret files the police never received. And Mike's like, go fuck yourself. And he's like, I'll even tell you the names and birth certificates of the people who died that weren't murder-suicides. And he's like, go fuck you. Wait, what? And he's like, yeah, that's right, bitch. A lot more people died here than you thought. Way more people. Please don't sleep in the room. Here's another room. Same layout.
and here's an
No one will know the
$800 bottle
difference.
of cognac.
Yeah, an
As a
$850
bribe.
bottle, which adds up to a bottle of Louis the 13th.
Oh my god.
But you know, he gives him all this stuff. He shoots this wildly expensive cognac.
He's just
After he
slugs
takes
it,
a
yeah.
respectful sip, then he slugs it down and says, I'm going to the room. And Olin breaks his manager character. He's like, God damn it, you piece of shit. What do I have to
He's
do?
so good. I love Olin.
He's so great.
And he's like, fine, your funeral. Here's a key. And he's like, oh, a regular key. So rustic. And he's like, yeah, electronics don't work in 1408. You sack of shit. You're going to go die in that room and I have to clean it up.
Also,
And that's, oh, I love that line the most. When he's like, selfishly, I don't want you to go into that room because I don't feel like cleaning up the mess.
yeah, that was great. But also when he's like, electronics don't work in that room. When when we were watching it and he walked into the room and turned on the lights, Piper was like, aren't
Okay, hold
lights
on.
electronic?
Also,
And
there's
the
that digital
TV
fucking
and the
clock.
radio and his fucking
everything works in that room.
everything worked in the room.
The clock works
Uh,
apparently too well, even.
Up until
Yeah.
she commandeers his Skype chat, nothing really weird happens with the electronics.
The 60-minute
True.
countdown from the radio that turns itself on is pretty weird.
Okay,
Yeah.
My clocks
fair,
don't
but
do that.
but the radio was already in the room.
Yeah.
Also-
I'm talking about his electronics.
I gotta say, I wish that the radio had been one of those like flip ones. Not because I want to hear the ticking and flipping constantly, which would have annoyed me, and I take it back already. I don't want that. But because I do like that more than the digital readout for the clock.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that makes sense. Additional
But-
reference to the number 13. The time on the electronic clock radio shows 7:51 when Mike first enters the room.
Damn, I wonder what that
plus
adds up to.
5 plus 1.
Did we not already do this
I think
one?
we already
I'm
did
starting
that
to
one.
actually
No, we
lose my
didn't.
mind.
Actually,
We didn't do
can I
that
talk
one,
about something
No,
about
we
this
did a
clock
different
that
clock.
really bothers me, actually?
Yeah.
In the scene where Mike gets mad at the clock, he unplugs it and then looks at it aghast as it keeps running. I'm actually tangentially familiar with that kind of clock, and those shits have batteries in them.
Yeah, those shits
Yeah.
have batteries for when the power goes out.
CinemaSins ding. This clock radio
that's-
doesn't look exactly like the one my dad had for years, but
years.
also like it's almost exactly
the
the same
same
clock
thing.
radio.
It's very
All of those
clearly
had
going
4
to
giant
have-
D-cell batteries.
Yeah, like for an awfully long time, I don't know if they still do this, but like most alarm clocks were made to have batteries in them in case you lost power in the middle of the night or something, so you don't just
Yeah.
lose your clock. Like that was a standard thing.
yeah.
So, back to Olin real quick.
Yeah, back to Olin.
Well, thank
don't want
God,
to
no
jump away from
13s.
Olin.
So we already talked about how on the poster for this movie, it's literally half John Cusack's face, who is the only character in this movie.
Yeah.
And half Samuel L. Jackson's face. Samuel L. Jackson has like maybe 15 minutes accumulated screen
It's
time.
a very generous number.
And like he has two modes. He has don't go in the room, and then he has the room mocking Cusack, being like, I told you not to go in the room, you stupid motherfucker. And he's great, but I wonder why there's just a few actors in this movie that are just such big names that I'm like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I know it's 2007 and they weren't necessarily like huge names, but we mentioned it's the actor who plays Monk, right?
Tony Shalhoub,
Or is
yeah.
it someone else?
That was like
Yeah.
the peak of his career, the mid-2000s.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He
It was
was
like
just lubing it up.
Tony
2007.
Shalhoub was hot shit back then. Like, he was
Yeah.
the hugest. Well, not the hugest,
Yeah.
but like he was huge.
So we have Monk, we have Samuel L. Jackson.
Also huge, peak
What-
of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, why? I don't know. It just is kind of strange to me that those two are there
It's weird.
as big names.
Stephen
just
King
to be there. Stephen King.
is a huge name, and you're like, oh, Stephen King has something being adapted? Hell yeah, sure, I'll be
There
in
is
it.
that,
Fair
I
enough.
guess.
But they couldn't get Keanu.
It's kind of like how a lot of actors will take a pay cut to work with certain directors.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think in adaptations for big names, there are certain actors that'll be like, yeah, I'll do this.
Which is really interesting
Fair enough.
because, like, Stephen King adaptations are kind of known for being so violently hit or miss.
There's
Yeah.
also only like 3 big name actors total, I guess, and there's not that many characters or much screen time. So I guess if you're gonna get actors for bit parts and you only have like 3 characters total, you can probably spend a lot of money on your bit parts.
Yeah, when you only
True.
need Tony Shalhoub for 2 minutes, you don't have to pay him all that much ultimately.
Also,
Yeah.
speaking of people taking pay cuts to work with other actors, and Keanu Reeves, apparently for, I believe it was Devil's Advocate, he paid money to be in that movie
Really?
Really?
to work with Al Pacino.
To work with Al Pacino?
Oh.
Okay,
That
Al
tracks.
Pacino was a big
is
name.
Al Pacino? Why has Al Pacino been regarded as a good actor? Is there something of his that's incredible that I haven't seen, or like
It's like,
Have you not? His acting in The Godfather
Yeah,
is really
he's in
good.
the
anybody
he
in The
was The
Godfather could have
Godfather.
been good? He doesn't do anything in it. He's mostly just walking around and reacting to things.
I'm not gonna lie.
Do I just need to
this
watch
is
The Godfather
definitely-
again?
I think you might,
Okay.
because it's the way that he carries himself in a very like composed manner.
It's the evolution of his
also-
character, especially in the first
That was his
movie.
like breakout role. Also, yes, the evolution of his character over the 3, but that was also his first role, was an incredibly intense role to portray, kind of thing.
Okay.
And he is in other movies as like he gets cast as the kind of loudmouth guy.
The Scarface guy, yeah.
Yeah, the Scarface guy, because that's what people want him to do in other movies from here on out, and he plays that role specifically well.
Okay.
But also, this is definitely something that I'm going to get way too worked up about, and I wouldn't like to get into it too
Fair
much
enough.
on the John Cusack is Bill Murray episode.
I mean, I'm not going to talk
John
more
Cusack
about John
is Bill
Cusack,
Murray.
but like, you do know my position there, yeah. I don't know. I don't remember Al Pacino
so-
being good in Devil's Advocate either at all. Like, I don't know.
What was I gonna say?
I
Oh,
just
God.
rewatched it, and I would love to watch Devil's Advocate for the podcast again, because that man walks into every single scene and just like chews it up and spits it out and then shits on it, and I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it so much more this last
Okay,
time
so
I saw
here's-
it. But
here's-
this movie, I also liked just as much as when I saw it when I was zooted on the couch with COVID.
So
Sure.
here's the thing I have to say about 1408 and Devil's Advocate, and other movies of that ilk, where when I was a kid, I knew what 1408 was because I read the back of the DVD case, and I thought to myself, that sounds like a really interesting movie. I would love to watch that, but I am a child and cannot do that. Same with like Devil's Advocate and stuff. There's a whole genre of movie that's like not quite horror, but has really interesting kind of wacky premises. Fucking the Devil Elevator one as well.
Yeah.
It's just called Devil, actually.
I know. I just felt like I should qualify. But the ones where it's like the premise is 99% of why I would even want to bother watching it.
Yeah.
Randomly haunted hotel room. I didn't know about The Shining all that much at the time. Also, The Shining's a haunted hotel. Having a haunted room is completely different.
That's a completely different
hilarious. Are you
situation, yeah.
kidding me? And then, being the devil's lawyer, very good. This elevator is going to hell, very good. That kind of genre of movie, I think I've always wanted to watch, and I think that that's part of why I like this so much. Is this is a movie that's been on my radar for like maybe 10 years, and I've never watched it, and I've always been like, what could this movie possibly be like? And I think it delivered on it really well, in my opinion.
Well, okay, yeah.
It really appealed to my childish sense of wonder and joy.
Love it.
That's what I look for in a horror movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I haven't actually, genuinely though, I haven't watched a horror movie recently that I've just like let just be a good fun time. Because I really enjoy the kind of headier horror movies, the ones with like obvious metaphors and stuff. But to have one where I did have that like childish sense of interest, where I was like, this, I've wanted to know what this. It's like that.
Sometimes you're John Cusack locked in an evil hotel.
Right, like it's like that kind of cool looking house that you walk by every day when you're a kid, and you're like have these ideas of what it must look like on the inside. This is like getting to see the inside of that house, and I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's not a good movie. It's not like a great movie. I just really liked it.
I plan on owning this movie.
Good. Me too. I mean, we're married.
Additional
so.
reference to the number 13.
Oh, fucking goddamn it.
Mike learns from Olin that there were 56 deaths so far in room 1408. The room tried tricking him into falling off the 14th story window. Then when that failed, it tried tormenting Mike into committing suicide by hanging, implying the plan was for Mike to be victim 57. Before the fire, the room called Mike, telling him that his wife is on her way and she will be sent straight up to the room. This was also hinted in the possibly hallucinated video call with Lily when Mike's doppelganger convinced her to come to the hotel in 15 minutes, which would have been just after the room reset itself and straight up to the room. This implies the room's plan was for Lily to be victim 58, had Mike not acted to burn it down. The digits 5 and 8.
That is even worse than the implying he got there at 8:05.
Like, what are you talking about, baby?
That's so much worse.
Also, there's a scene where, like, the floor of the room breaks and he falls through it onto what? The 13th floor?
No, so the 14th floor is actually the 13th
Wow,
floor.
right, yeah, because
So true.
because bullshit, yeah.
Actually, so one of the things that I love about that is some people are like, well, that just makes the 14th the 13th floor.
It does.
And they understand that that doesn't work. So some construction leaves an extra gap between the 12th and 14th floor as an invisible 13th
A cursed crawl space?
A cursed crawl space. Yeah.
Dang.
Can you imagine if they'd done that in this building and she'd just been stuck with a cursed crawl space?
Just
Nothing
full of the
to
most
do.
evil rats.
You dirty rat.
Rats in my New York. That's the thing I miss, by the way, is going to hotels and having there be no 13th floor. Like, every hotel didn't have a 13th floor for the longest time. Like, that were tall enough. They would just lie about that shit. Hospitals I've been to that were super tall. What happened to this? I miss those.
So
what happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna keep an eye out for it, see if I spot anything.
People don't respect the old gods, the number 13, anymore.
So true.
One thing I love about early on in this movie when he gets into the room, when he's stating that it has no worse vibes than any hotel room, and he looks at like a stain on the ground, he's like, there's this gross stain, and then later when he's having his little like blacklight flashes of like where people died, it's really clear that someone fucking died there with that weird stain, and that he would have probably known that when he made the comment about the weird
like
stain. That's
See,
funny to me.
I also thought it was funny that was right below the ocean painting. Because I'm like, oh, the painting was leaked. Like, literally, what I thought was the first time I saw it was, oh, the painting leaked on the floor and stained the carpet.
Yeah. Can we talk about that whole scene for a minute, actually? Because that is one of the scenes that I like, where he inspects the room and kind of does his little, tape recorder monologue about, where he's
where there's blood sprays everywhere.
And
or other sprays.
That's what I was
Well,
thinking.
not even
was like,
to do with
"Ooh."
that, but just as he's like sitting on the bed, like looking around and just describing everything that he looks at, and he's like, somebody wrote about the banality of evil, and if that's true, then this must really be as evil a room as Olin told me. And he describes how like boring the whole thing is.
I think she took that personally.
And then, but then like I think the funny part is after that he kind of like sits there in silence for a second, and then brings the tape recorder back up to his face, and quieter goes, "It's not without its charm."
I do
Aw.
know.
I thought that was really funny.
I actually I want to talk about Mike briefly.
Yeah.
I actually love Mike as a character. I think he's a really well-written kind of
The
scumbag.
guy who thinks he's funnier than he is can be a really funny kind of character.
Especially that he's just an unrepentant like 90s 2000s
He's just such a
douchebag.
piece of
Oh,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, like he just sucks.
When he interrupts Olin and is just like, "Oh, he's reciting the grisly details like a laundry list. Very familiar." And Olin's just like, "Go fuck yourself. You know that's not what we're talking about."
I
Yeah.
really love the amount of times that he uses the recording device to like say some shit about people behind their back to their
just
face.
in front of them,
And-
yeah.
When the only time that it doesn't work out for him is when Olin's like, "I never said anything about ghosts. It's just an evil fucking room."
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's
sorry,
cool.
poltergeists,
Mhm.
spirits."
So
Guys.
the first indication of evil in the room, thank you IMDb, because I didn't notice, happens during his like initial walkthrough, where he finds a Bible, obviously, because hotel rooms
course.
have Bibles, and
he opens
when
it
he
to
pulls
book
it-
13.
Book 13.
God damn it! Don't look at me like that, Emma. Don't look at me like
It's the
that.
13th book of the
So-
Bible. Shit, what is that? Like,
The shitty
So
one, probably.
okay, hold on,
Chronicles?
everybody.
No.
Cool your
Kings.
horses. I'm gonna get there. This was all a trap for me to get to another 13 fact.
damn.
But let me finish the thing about the Bible. So the Bible's pulled out of the drawer and the title is normal. But then when he sets it back down, there's a split-second shot, and it shows the Bible title in reverse.
Oh.
Okay, Jeff, fuck you. It was Chronicles. It was First Chronicles.
kidding
it's
me?
the 13th book.
Jeff.
Fuck you.
Jeff.
That was absolutely
No.
just a wild guess when I said that.
So
Just to be clear, I did not know that First
Additional
Chronicles
reference
is
to the number
13th book of the
13.
Bible. I was just throwing that out as a guess.
this is a long one. Additional reference to the number 13. In the room, Mike Enslin opens a hotel Bible to Samuel 2,
That's
11.
the 10th book.
Um,
Oh, 211.
an additional reference to 13 because 2 plus 11 is 13.
Remember.
It
We
reads
all
part
know.
of this. Yeah, reads part of the story about Uriah, David, and Bathsheba. Chapter 13 of the second book of Samuel says, "At David's invitation, he, meaning Uriah, ate and drank with him, and David made him drunk. But in the evening, Uriah went out to sleep on his mat among his master's servants. He did not go home." Mike got a birthday card signed David just before seeing the anonymous postcard that got him interested in room 1408. He received the same birthday card from David inside the dream as well, but did not receive the postcard for room 1408. As a parallel to Samuel 2nd, chapter 13, Mike perceived the challenge of not being allowed in the room as an invitation to go. He ate nuts and chocolates while inside the room, drank alcohol, and got slightly drunk, and after falling asleep, he was trapped inside a dream, giving him hope that he escaped the room, but in the end did not go home.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Fun Dietz sibling lore.
Uh-oh.
What?
David and Bathsheba was our youth pastor's
Oh.
favorite story to preach on too many
That's so
times
weird.
to a group
That's
of
so
kids.
weird.
Turns out he was having wild marital problems, and I believe his wife was cheating on him, possibly. And he preached that sermon probably 6 times.
Oh my god.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That's
all
awkward.
could tell something was going on just because, like, there wasn't even space in between them necessarily. It was like every other week at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope
Yeah, it was.
he's
It was.
okay.
I think he's doing okay. now.
R.I.P. Jimmy.
But that was a wild time to
Imagine you're going
be in a
through
youth group.
marital issues, you're going through a time in your life like that, and the only people who have picked up on it is something like 50 middle schoolers.
You've got a captive audience.
I mean,
True.
actually,
Therapy.
it's more like a handful of middle schoolers and then like 23 high schoolers. So, check your notes there.
True, yeah.
Uh,
True.
Is that
Someone
better?
mentioned
No.
something about Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Emma.
You did.
Oh,
I
Nina
mentioned
did.
it in reference to Over
And
the
then
Garden Wall, and then you
yeah.
said
And then I was like, Dante's Inferno, more like Dante's 1408.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what you
true.
said.
Yeah, I'm not super
Yeah.
familiar with Dante's Inferno because I don't read comedies all that often. What's the reference here?
Definitely not a comedy.
Well, then why is it called
That's
The
'cause
Divine
it's-
Comedy? Checkmate Atheist.
Yeah, checkmate atheists.
He mentions Dante's Inferno in the movie at one
Oh,
point.
does he? Okay.
Yeah, but
Oh, right. He makes like
In the
a
movie,
Circles
he
of Hell
does-
reference. Yeah.
yeah, he does go through the 5 stages of grief.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh, I guess he does.
Yeah.
And a lot
fact.
more. And all in
8
that
extra
shirt.
stages, which add up to 13.
Additional reference to the number 13.
Okay.
Inside the dream, when Mike goes to mail the early draft of his new book to his publisher, the clocks inside the post office show 4:54. The digits of the time 4 plus 5 plus 4 result in 13.
Oh my God.
Audience, I wish you could just see how done Noah is.
Every time I'm like, surely there's got to only be a
we
couple
have to
left.
run out now.
And I've come to the thought, I had that thought probably about 30 minutes ago that like, I know there's a lot, but surely Emma can't possibly have more trivia about the number 13.
Additional
I can't-
reference to the number 13.
Please.
The last time that the room plays, we've only just begun during the current loop, the initial loop, is when the timer on the electronic clock radio hits 3:37. The numbers on the timer, 3, 3, and 7, add up to 13.
Mhm.
You can see why when I was reading through this, just the phrase additional reference to the number 13 made me want to throw my computer in frustration.
That's like, it's doing the same psychic damage as just randomly saying bazinga in a conversation does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us, Emma, do you have another one?
Let me look.
Well, you
look.
can't
I've been
just
kind
get
of
all
like
of them
jumping
at
around.
once.
I've
They
been
have to
jumping
come up as
around.
they're relevant, right?
I want one, though.
No, but I have to say something else that will trigger another reference to the number 13.
Okay, go
Like,
for it.
oh, let's see. What do
What
I
about
have
the
here?
cab?
Let
What about
me.
the cab she arrives in? Because that driver seemed kind of done with her.
He was as done with her asking, "Why are you stopping?" when the traffic was stopped for blocks ahead of him. I love that. He's just like, "Lady, I don't know. It was an accident, probably. It's gonna be a minute." And she just throws $20 at him and leaves. Let's see.
Actually,
let's
she
see.
throws $13 at him and leaves.
No, she doesn't. She throws a 20 at him. Jeez. I don't know. Old timey
Additional
stroller
reference
lady.
to the number
God damn it.
13. When talking on the phone I do have a fun fact about the stroller lady.
Thank
but
God.
When talking, it's not 13 related.
Thank God.
When talking on the phone towards the end of the movie, 2 of the voices identify themselves as previous quote unquote victims of room 1408. This is number 5 and this is number 8, both of which add up to 13.
Wow.
You know, I expected to learn new ways to count to 13, but
It's
so
the
far
same
most
ones
of them are
over
just
and
8
over.
and 5.
Most of them are 8 and 5.
And the others are all just like 6s and 7s.
John Cusack is 5'8". That adds up to 13.
I have good news.
Okay.
I only have one more.
Wow.
Okay, but what about old timey stroller lady? Because personally, love old timey stroller lady. What the hell is she
Old-timey
doing here?
stroller
She's fun.
Great question. The woman, a young mother wearing a white dress who booked the room next door, is a reference to the woman in white, referring to a type of female ghost that died from violent causes, depending on the country where the legend is spread from. In some countries, the story revolves around her children, such as Brazil, where the Brazilian lady in white is said to be the ghost of a young woman who died of childbirth or violent causes. Germany, where it supposedly is the ghost of a woman who killed her children, and Wales, the female ghost berates children about their bad behavior. A variation in Mexico tells the story of a woman that drowned her illegitimate children.
That's La Llorona.
La Llorona. In other countries, the woman in white's legend revolves around women who committed suicide from failed romances. In the movie, the mother in white is moving around an old pram While Mike was trying to contact her when he crawled through the vent in the time warp scene, it is revealed that she plays the role of a younger Lily and the baby plays the role of a newborn Katie. And then you kind of find out that Katie died as a kid. But yeah.
That's all very
So
interesting.
she's kind of
'Cause
like...
I remember the woman in white from The Wailing. So as soon as you said that, I was kind of like, oh, is this connected to that? And seems like sort of.
It's just it's one of those things where a lot of cultures have
similar
like very
things,
similar, because that's what a banshee is as well.
Right, yeah.
There's actually a specific variant of banshees that are like women who died in childbirth as well. So it's really just interesting that so many different cultures have their version of this same kind of myth of a woman who either was murdered, went mad with grief, died in childbirth, all kind of represented in a very similar way. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat stuff.
And here in America, we have the Barbie movie.
So true. That's our woman in white. Additional reference to the number 13, and the last additional reference to the number 13.
R.I.P.
So the movie came out in June 2007.
Oh my God. Emma, please.
No.
When you add together 6 plus 7, it equals 13.
Also,
Man.
June 2007, there's 4 letters in June, plus the 2 and the 7, 13.
Oh, good one. Good one. Now you're thinking with 13s.
Okay, I need to tell you something. I need to tell you all something. I'm on the
Okay.
Wikipedia page for this short story.
Yeah.
Oh, the story, not the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
In the book, it's a short story. He doesn't make a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah,
He sets his lucky Hawaiian shirt on fire. The
It's
shirt
lucky.
is canon to the character. That is
It's
like a
lucky?
character trait of this man, is that
my
he has a
God.
lucky Hawaiian shirt.
why would they
he
not
wears.
mention that in the movie? That's important. That's integral.
Literally, all it would take
Somebody
is
spills
a
something on
line
him, and
from
he
Samuel
says, "That's
L.
my
no.
lucky shirt." Boom.
No, Samuel L. Jackson says, interesting clothing to be wearing in New York this time of year, or something like that. And he can be like, it's my lucky shirt. It would be a clearly shoehorned line. but,
There's no
like,
way to mention it in a way that wouldn't be clearly shoehorned.
He burns the room down with his lucky Hawaiian
No,
shirt.
he sets
No,
himself
he sets
on fire.
himself on fire.
Oh, himself.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And the
Oh, he
and
dies
the room
in the short story.
no, he doesn't. The room, once he sets himself on fire, the room lets him out because it doesn't want to burn itself down. And they douse
Oh.
the other guests douse him with ice. They look inside the room. He's like, "Oh, don't go in there. It's haunted." And she closes the door. And then he literally cannot deal with like warm yellow light after that because he can't deal with the memories of the room. And he's
Oh,
like
I like
severely
that.
like mentally ill because of just the brief time that he was in the room, which is even shorter than it was in the
That's
movie.
like some Lovecraft shit, actually. That reminds me of like.
I
The
actually
Cool Air,
really like
actually.
it.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
I also
Yeah.
like the room having the self like preservation instinct to just toss him out once he sets himself on
Yeah,
fire.
very Mike Flanagan's
So that-
Hill House.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I thought that was funny that the Hawaiian shirt is canon.
And it's lucky. That's important. Can I? Because I've been trying not to shit on this movie too much. Can I talk for just a minute about a handful of small things that made me unreasonably angry?
Please, I'm so ready. Actually.
All right, so there's a scene where Mike is just kind of like between bad things happening, and he's sort of having his like, "What's the next bad thing gonna be?" moment, talking into his tape recorder and stuff. And then he hears noises, and he's like, "Oh, there it is." The noise that he's hearing is like a stone sliding on another piece of stone kind of sound. Then he goes to investigate it, and what he finds is not stones that could possibly have been sliding whatsoever, but just like a cracked wall that's bleeding. That really, it's the wrong sound. It annoys me a lot. I know it's stupid and nitpicky.
I love the grinding brick noise, personally.
It's a cool noise. I
so it
understand
didn't bug me. Also,
why they used it, but
I
it's the wrong
totally
noise for
forgot to
cracking.
mention that.
It's sliding, not cracking.
Just to interject what you're doing really quick,
Yeah.
I love the cracked bleeding hole in the wall
Cool.
because for me, I'm like, oh, his daughter died of child cancer. The room has this cancerous sore in the room. I thought maybe that was like supposed to be connected. Like there's this dark thing hanging over Mike's life that he's not handling. It's the wall. It's his past. It's all that fun
I
stuff.
could see that, yeah.
That's all I got on that one.
There is a moment later on. It's one of the times that the song is playing, and it's like getting slowed down and sped back up and all that stuff. And that doesn't bother me. That's kind of neat and whatever. The use of the song is like kind of annoying because it's like hackneyed at this point, but like it was 2007, whatever. What really annoys me is that while we have that song playing diegetically, we also get soundtrack music coming in, and the two do not sit well
they don't
as
quite
they
connect.
overlap, and I fucking hate that. If you're gonna have multiple music sources playing at the same time, you gotta do something to make them work
It's like when
together.
a TikTok stitch has like the song from the original in the background, and the person making the new video also wants to have something going on.
Yeah, it's just I hate that. I don't like it. I've got a handful of notes that literally just say like stupid line or something like that, and I don't know which ones they refer to. A lot of the stupid lines are perfectly forgivable. I just get angry by the time I hit the ending of this movie because, as I previously mentioned, I really like the first parts of it. It gets me early on, and that makes me just real angry about it when it starts to suck later. In my opinion, at least.
I think the ending sucks. I think that like I like the ending of the short story as I read it. Again, the short story is a lot shorter. I think some of the alternate endings that are proposed where Enslin dies.
I'd be okay with that.
Well, Nina, I have good news for you. Fun fact: this is not about 13.
Whoa.
There are multiple endings for the film.
Yeah.
Right?
We saw an alternate ending. We did not see the most common ending.
Streaming and DVD is not the theatrical ending or the director's ending.
Yeah.
Why is there not a standardized official release version?
So
this is. The alternate ending is the official release version.
But it wasn't the theatrical one.
People were too bummed
That's
out.
dumb as shit. If it hit the theater, that's the final
Emma.
product. God damn it.
So I guess I don't know as much about this as Noah does, or maybe even Nina. But the fun fact here says there are multiple endings for this film, with a version which has Mike fading from room 1408 following Katie being the one most seen, as it is the default on most DVD and digital versions. In other alternate endings, Mike is rescued from the flames, reconnects with Lily, and captures his conversation he had with Katie on his recorder. In one version, Lily can hear the conversation as well, and in another, she cannot.
Yeah, isn't there one where Olin finds the tape recorder after Mike dies? I read that there was one where
it looks like the one we saw was the theatrical one, because this says the TV Tropes page says the theatrical version has Mike setting the room on fire to destroy it, getting saved by firemen, and finding a tape recorder with his dead daughter's voice on it as proof that the room is supernatural. He listens to it with his wife just before the movie ends. That's what I watched.
My mistake then. Mike dying was a focus group ending then, where everyone thought it was too much of a downer. Because I know the original ending, the director's ending, is Mike died, and everyone's like, that's such a downer. So he had to change.
Yeah, that was one thing as I was watching. You all know I love a good evil wins at the end movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sure.
Oh, it's nice to have one every now and then.
Yeah, but while I was watching this, I was like, I could see this being he doesn't get out and he dies. And I was like, and I'm going to be really pissed off if that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it didn't, because I think, that would have been a downer.
Yeah. One of the alternate endings would have brought Tony Shalhoub back for the ending.
Let's go.
The first alternate ending has Mike setting the room on fire but dying in it, and then it goes to Sam, Tony Shalhoub's character, the publisher, reading the manuscript of the book 1408 just before the movie ends. And then the director's cut has Mike setting the room on fire and dying, but then it's Olin who listens to the tape with the dead daughter's voice.
Got it. Did you know the axe the fireman uses to break down the hotel door at the end is the same axe that Jack Nicholson used in The Shining?
That's because it's a fire axe.
It's a fire axe.
God, every time I hear about Jack Nicholson and the door, all I remember is them having to build stronger and stronger doors because he broke it down too quickly because he was a fucking firefighter.
It's hilarious. It's so good.
The
bottom that...
I was about to say, speaking of The Shining, there is a scene sort of later in the movie that is definitely going for emulating The Shining kind of feel in the way that the camera like pans through the hotel room and stuff. You know the one I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That made me mad.
Yeah, where the room just reset, right? And it was showing that everything was back to normal.
Yeah.
The bottle that Olin gives Mike is named Le Sequoia Sept... I don't know how to say
Noah,
French
have you
stuff.
sold any of those?
And
Yeah, I sell so many Les Equalities. At least one a day.
in French, it
When I can
literally
find it.
means the 57 deaths. And just afterwards, we learned that in room 1408, there were only 56 deaths. With that, it is assumed that Mike's fate was written.
Okay.
Fun little detail.
Okay, so is his fate to be the 57th to fill the prophecy of the
The
cognac?
prophecy of the cognac.
Or
yeah.
is he just a stepping stone to make his wife be the 58th? And 5 + 8 is 13.
He made the room the 57th
Dun,
death.
dun, dun.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I mean, it kind of.
But
Which
it was
can't add up
it
to
was the
13.
room's plan the entire time to get to 13.
Here's the question: do you think she's actually dead, or they're gonna she's just now kind of hollowed
This is my
out?
question. Is like, if the room is haunted and not the whole hotel, what exactly is it that's haunted? Will burning it make a
Yeah.
difference, or when they fix it, will it just still be the evil room?
Yeah, how many ships of Theseus do we have to? How many light fixtures and tables and chairs and beds need to be shuffled out?
The haunting of Theseus.
Is it
as
the
they call it,
wallpaper?
Yeah.
A haunting of Theseus.
I don't think Olin would fix the room.
Is that legal?
Probably not.
I think when you have a bunch of
I
fire
think-
damage in a building like that, you're like required to do a certain amount of fixing work in order to keep the building up to code.
Yeah, probably cutting out the electronics from the room, stripping all the walls and shit, and then leaving
would
it in a
probably-
permanent construction state.
Yeah, he would do
You got whatever the
minimum.
minimum is for
and then be like,
structural
okay.
purposes and stuff, and then
Yeah.
Here's my question: why doesn't she just fix herself? Because she can clearly manipulate the way that the inside of the room looks.
Because she's vulnerable to fire damage. You would understand that if you've been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, here's another question.
God,
Ryan.
everyone-
Has seriously nobody in all these 56 other victims, has nobody tried burning the room before?
She
Just
had
nobody's-
sprinklers,
nobody's
so I
thought
think
of
it would have
that?
had to have been a very quick burning fire, like an alcohol fire, the way that Mike had it.
Yeah. Guess none of the others had a large bottle of alcohol at their disposal.
Fully
This
stocked
one's for Emma.
fridge in the
Maybe
room.
if Karlak was here, things would be different.
That's a good Baldur's Gate 3 reference.
Thank you,
I
thank you,
thought
thank
that
you.
was that
What
thing
did you
from Star
Google
Wars.
for that?
BG3K, because I couldn't remember what her name was. I just knew that she's the one that's been all over my TikTok because people are like, she's so hot, unfortunately, figuratively and literally, so I can't bone until I find a way to fireproof. But if you splash her with water, you can get a quick kiss.
Aw, I would splash her with water to get a quick kiss. Man, the world is lucky I don't have
Gotta
a
get
computer
a fire
that can run
hose to
that
get a
game.
quick fuck. Nope.
hey. Do we want to do Noah's notes?
We may as well get to know his notes.
Yeah.
He-
Do. It's Noah's notes.
It's Noah's notes. Noah says, we got to get into it a little bit. This movie starts out slow. Noah says, I love how all it took to get his ass is just a postcard that says, hey, bitch, don't go here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about this is a great marketing ploy. Tell people they can't go here and can't get the room. He's like, I see what you're doing. I get it.
Yeah, he really
Mhm.
thinks it's just
Mike-
an act early on.
Yeah.
He does. Noah says, Mike is such a Stephen King-ass character. He's just I'm so much smarter than the narrative. You have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I love when Stephen King. Here's one thing I'll say about Stephen King. You guys know my feelings about him. Whenever he makes a self-insert, his self-insert always thinks he's the smartest man on planet Earth and always gets his ass beat. So I'll give him that.
Yeah, but he's also an alcoholic writer who has a research scene where he reads through a bunch of newspaper articles and stays in a room.
He
that's
does
evil
also
and-
in the book get out alive, only scarred. So he doesn't completely get his ass beat.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh, and his dad.
Noah
sucked
says-
also another very basic Stephen
Noah
King
says-
stories.
Noah says, massive cope voice of a rattled man. Oh, Mr. Recorder, we're really in it now, but we're here to get a story, and we totally don't get rattled. Oh, Mr. Recorder, we're really in it now is very
Yeah.
good.
Thank you.
Noah says, one of the things I love about this movie is that once it starts going, it really just goes. That is also a thing that I like, is at least if it's going to be kind of a goofy fucking movie, at least things just keep happening.
That's true.
I think
Yeah,
it
the
kind
hotel
of...
room just keeps hitting you with hit after hit.
Yeah.
There's
And
not a
they're
lot of
fun.
break.
This is something I was telling Noah as well, is something that I like about Stephen King is that he has really interesting setups a lot of the time. And a good like creator can really spin off that and have some fun moments. And this movie has a lot of fun moments. Stephen King's a good ideas guy. I think that people like Flanagan and
totally.
this director
Well, like,
are the type of people. Go ahead.
well, like a lot of the weakness of Stephen King is like his own like self-described creative process is he gets his idea and just sort of follows it wherever he thinks it goes and has no idea where he's getting it to. That's why his endings are always the way that they are. He doesn't get an ending in his mind before he starts writing. He just has an idea and is like, I don't know, where would that take me?
Right.
It's a very experimental
Isn't it-
kind of writing.
Is it Stephen King where the joke is like his stories always ended with an explosion
Oh,
or something?
I don't know.
I haven't heard that
Which
one.
it fits
does.
this because it
That
does.
happens at the end of The Shining in the book as well, from what I gather. The hotel explodes.
Yeah, just because
Mhm.
he's like, I don't know what to do. There's an explosion.
What was I gonna say? Noah's notes. He just stopped for a second. Just did not take notes for a minute here. And then he goes, "What is this? What does this mean?"
I'm excited.
How do you know when he
Cream
stopped
ad?
taking notes?
What is
Are they
ice cream
timestamps?
ad?
Oh, okay. We watched it on YouTube, free with ads. So the camera,
Oh.
so the camera pans through the noose to his face, and then YouTube's ad breaks were abysmal.
Oh, yeah.
And it cut really hard and hit us with an ice cream ad as soon as it panned through the fucking
That's
noose.
hilarious.
Okay, that I was so fucking confused about that. I had no idea because you reference ice cream a little earlier as
Really?
well. Yeah, yeah,
Bullshit.
you do. Oh, ice room. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I got mixed up. Noah says Mark Zuckerberg in the background at the hospital. There is a guy that looks like Mark Zuckerberg in the hospital. If you guys ever watch this movie again, in the back, in the, like on the other bed in the room where he's in the hospital,
Huh.
it looks like Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, I
Mhm.
hope
Uh,
not.
Jeff,
to do
watch
that,
it a
but I'll be
third time.
watching for that.
Then Noah says the Overlook is a cancerous building. 1408 is just straight up malicious. I love the difference between the Overlook and 1408 because the Overlook is like
It takes its time.
the Overlook. It takes its time. I love the idea that Noah and I were talking about it this morning, and I love the idea of kind of like a chicken and egg situation with this one, where it's like was this thing evil and that's why bad things happened from the beginning, or did bad things just keep happening in this hotel and eventually all of that bad energy built into this entity that wanted more? Versus 1408, which really seems like the unluckiest room in the world, and she's gonna make it your problem.
Yeah.
And nothing else really going on other than references to the number 13, which I love. I like that a lot. And they're best friends. They're pen pals because for some reason 1408 can send mail, so she's just sending
friends with the
postcards to the
post
Overlook.
office. We've established this.
Yeah, the haunted post office.
There's a network of evil buildings in the Stephen King universe.
I mean, maybe they're not all evil. We don't know. What's
Yeah, the haunted
building,
mailroom is just a
What's
go-between.
the notion of building morality even look like? You know?
True. Honestly, who's to even say that 1408 and the Overlook are evil
Yeah.
when they're just eating things?
Yeah, really. It's just
Yeah, I'm sure caterpillars think I'm evil, but they need to get over it.
this
You
guy
eat
eats
caterpillars?
caterpillars.
This guy eats caterpillars.
Real bird
Why
Noah
did you
hours.
That
say
worked
that?
way better than I thought it would.
What did you say that for? I love you. Anyway, that's Noah's notes.
That's Noah's
Da-da.
notes. Anything else that anybody wants to say?
I got two brief things. That
Okay.
painting that floods the room, the scene where he like kind of notices that he enters the room and he kind of notices that the painting is like skewed, it's sort of crooked, and he goes to straighten it and then like looks at it again and it seems like it's just crooked in a different way now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the ways that they establish that is the little lamp that lights the
Oh yeah,
that lights the painting is also just hung crooked. I love that.
yeah. It was
I
crooked,
thought
matching
that
the
was
crooked
really
painting.
fun.
Me too.
Yeah.
Also, my favorite part of the later parts of the movie, what makes that later half worth watching, is the yelling into the fridge scene.
Oh, I love the yelling
He
into
opens
the
the
fridge.
fridge to get a drink, and instead of finding drinks in the fridge, he finds this. And these shots are very poorly executed, I think, but it's fine because it's silly and underwhelming. He opens the fridge and sees Ghost Olin in like a little fridge office. and Ghost Olin in the fridge kind of like scolds him for being stupid for a minute. And we get these just really goofy inside the fridge shots of John Cusack just like yelling at him, and then he decides to try and fight him. And it cuts to John Cusack just like rooting around, ripping things out of a totally normal fridge. I fucking love that. That shit's hilarious. This movie
Someone on
should have
Tumblr
committed
said
a
he
little
sounded
bit
like-
harder to being a comedy, because I think it would have been really funny, legitimately.
Yeah.
I think it was already really funny. I was already having a great time. Someone on Tumblr said that in the fridge scene, he looked like a chihuahua trying to fight a much bigger dog.
I see that. Yeah.
At the
Sounded
beginning
like
of the
it, too.
movie, when he's interacting with like the bed and breakfast people while he's trying to check in, Piper was like, "This is a horror movie?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "It's written like a comedy kind
Yeah,
of."
there are so many
I'm like,
scenes where
"You're
it's
right."
kind of just being a comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my favorite one was, this is towards the end, where like the room is spinning around him and he's like, whoa, and he's getting all
Yeah.
woozy and he's holding his head and the camera's all weird. And I made the joke while that was happening, when she keeps sucking after you nut. And
Oh my god.
Sucking your life force, that is. Because she's in evil hotel room.
Yeah, and I'm really funny.
So yeah, that was 1408.
That was
1408.
1408. Yay! I hope you all loved my fun facts about the number 13 related
Do you
to
know
this
how
movie.
many... Wait, actually, hold on. Do you know how many references to the number 13 that was? Because...
I did not count.
It's more than 13.
Yeah. I did not count, and I broke some of the fun facts in IMDb up into multiple parts, and so I can't easily search. But audience, you go back, listen to this episode, count for us, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
There were 5 references before the spoiler and 8 references after the spoiler.
It was definitely more than 8, I feel like. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, everybody. On our next episode, we'll be talking about the movie Prisoners. We're getting into a little series about movies that got us into horror, even if they're not quite horror themselves. So on our like introductory, like episode 0 episode of the podcast, we talked about this, and my movie was Prisoners, which is like a very intense thriller, but not a horror movie. And so I was like, we wouldn't watch this for the podcast, but now we're finally getting to, and I'm very excited.
Hell yeah.
I'm so pumped.
Yeah, but you can I'm Emma. You can follow me at Emma Panada on Twitter and Twitch. And I'm also writing a TTRPG called All the Witches. You can find information about that at allthewitches_ on Twitter or at allthewitches on Blue Sky. And yeah, somebody go next.
Hello, I'm Nina. You can find me at Nina Wolverina on Instagram and TikTok and still on Twitter for the time being. You can also find me at Nina Wolverina on Blue Sky. And you can find me at Nina Wolverina with a 3 where the E should be on Tumblr. I'm very active there, mostly right now about X-Men. Sorry, not sorry.
I'm Noah. You can find me as Bubba the Bad, BUBBADABAD, on Twitch, Twitter, Insta, Blue Sky, and Tumblr, and Letterboxd.
Nice.
And
Letterboxd.
Twitch? Did you
Also
say Twitch?
Twitch.
You've been streaming
Yeah.
I
lately.
think he did.
Yeah, Twitch, Twitter, Insta. It was my that's my classic trio, and they're following apart pretty
Little
heavily.
bit. In any case.
But I've streamed twice in the last
yeah,
month.
and
so
that last one
not
was
to brag.
really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Hell
both
yeah.
times you've streamed Sea of Thieves, and I like
And
going
both
in and
times.
saying,
See if these nuts fit in your mouth.
Classic.
That's so good,
Got
dude.
'em. And I'm Jeff. You can find me on Letterboxd at The Fakest Fan and on Tumblr at What Is It You Pray For.
Nice.
Also,
Perfect.
Casual
Incredible.
Obsession has a Tumblr.
Casual Obsession
Casual
does
Horror
have a
Pod. Yeah. So find us there. It should be in the bio. But I reblogged something the other day, so it is not dead. It is just quiet.
Hey.
I have a whole
Nice.
backlog of posts to reblog, so I will go do that eventually.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for listening and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. We hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Haunted World.